Hello and welcome back to the SuperCoach Experience podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Savage, the coach of the Savage Burbos. Round 1 is finally done and dusted after 2 long weeks of hell for us Supercoaches. And I'm joined here by the 2021 champion, Tim Moody. How are you, Timmy?
Currently, I feel nervous.
Yeah, why?
I just feel like, I don't know, that it's the start of a new Supercoach year. There's big decisions to make. Just sort of being inundated with a lot of TLT information. Sort of trying to plan, what am I going to do this week, next week, the week after? It's a lot to take in. I've been through mixed emotions over the weekend. I was sad for a bit. I'm nervous currently, but in between all of that, I've become quite determined.
Determined?
Yeah, I guess would be the right word. And I was like, I'm not going to get sad about this, man.
Being determined at a 50,000 rank is one sentence I've never heard before.
Yeah, it's just like, I'm just going to be aggressive and get on the front foot and just start making the changes I need to make.
How good. I scored, let's go into what we scored. 970, ranked 12,000th. Yesterday at lockout, I was ranked 11,999. I looked just then, I'm 12,000 on the dot. I don't know how that works. Maybe they just swap it around based on everyone getting the same score. Here, you get in the top 12,000, you get in the top 12,000. But yeah, pretty good week from myself, I guess. Haven't got too many team troubles. But as you said, we've actually got to make decisions now. It feels like we've had a lot of decisions leading up to the start of the season with no repercussions. Now is the time when every decision we make, if there's going to be a repercussion, either sooner or later, or...
I still think there is repercussions going in, like we've had to make leading up to it. Like your starting side is somewhat important. The closer the more you get right, the less you got to fix, obviously, and you can start taking more advantage of nice things that present. But yeah,
how'd you score?
Really poorly. 857, ranked 57,291st. The last digit I like.
Yep.
First.
Well, you only have 57,290 ranks to go to get up there. But for everyone that is ranked in that position, a lot of the guns failed this round. They're going to fire. So the teams that are very high, I know I'm ranked 12,000th. I started with out a lot of the guns. It's going to turn. It's going to turn. And today is a lot about us talking about tactics and all that sort of stuff and how to tackle the situations that we're all in at the moment. But let's kick it off with players that impressed us most this week. I'll kick it off. Zach Labart. What a talent. 465,000. He was in my bold predictions last week. I was very high on him, but I didn't pull the trigger, just not knowing what was to come from him. He showed in the trials he could do it, but keeping it up is another question. But it looks like he's just a footy player. Very Manu-esque, like you said.
I didn't say that. That was one of the other boys. I think it was Jake. However, I like him. I just watching him play, I was like, you were really big on him pre-season, and I'd feel like that one got away. I know we can pick him up, but I'd be really pissed off if I was you without that one, just because it's a nice big score, and he's not that much more expensive than, say, I don't think you've got Drew Hutchison, but like someone like myself who's got Drew Hutchison, geez, I wish I'd have found $100,000 to go with him. But then again, I was feeling okay about Drew at halves. I thought maybe he'll get me some 50s along the way. Like, I thought he'd be good for about 50, but look, we'll see what happens going forward. He did have a blinder, that kid. Can he do that? How repeatable is that?
Yeah.
Because it could kind of reminded me, it kind of had like a little bit of a shade of Talakai, that game he just was massive and looked amazing. Like, definitely think at the price we'll probably all want to pick him up anyway.
Yeah, I think this is the situation where the people who started with him in round 1, they obviously got the 100 score, but a lot of people are jumping on this week. And I think this is the case where it's a bit unfair on the people who did start with him now that everyone else is jumping on them. Like, I think that's why after one game...
you kind of want to pod like that to get about like 70 in the first week, where you go, yeah, that was good.
Or
but
just keep getting
a bit under
70s,
the radar.
70s, 80s, and they're getting 20 more than everyone else in the first few weeks. But I guess him turning up would have helped a lot of people with their ranks this week and hopefully going forward.
Sure.
But I think that's why we should have in SuperCoach after one game price rises. I think that would make the SuperCoach game really interesting, but we're not here to talk about that. I'll kick it off with the top 3 SuperCoach players of the week for round 1. Terrell May is number 1, Zach Labert number 2, and I've put Morgan Smithies in at number 3. Obviously, you can put the high scorers in there, but these are SuperCoach relevant players that we've all talked about. We've all talked up all preseason, and these 3 over-delivered. They're in the most traded-in players this week, and I think all these guys are legitimate options going forward. Morgan Smithies, 58 big minutes with a HIA. I'm excited to see what he produces going forward. But now he's in everyone's team.
Yeah.
Terrell May, most traded in this week. What are your plans around him?
So I started with him. So I got that. That was one of the few things I really feel like, got that right. But on the other side of the things, I have told Malolo was my other guy. So nailed one and couldn't got the other one more wrong. So it ends up sort of meeting in the middle and not being that much of a win for me. But yeah, I think if you don't own him, I don't think you have to rush to get him. But if there's players that have, you've got a Spencer Linu, you've got a Lolo. For me personally, I'm probably going to look to trade elsewhere this week and just let Lolo run out another week. I don't think it's an emergency trade. I think he'll probably get better minutes this week, probably go closer to a 40. Probably try sell him the week after though. But yeah, Terrell May, I think we can be pretty comfortable to expect those sorts of scores. I think he's a 60-point player.
I think so too. I'm very high on him. And we both started with him. So we've done the right thing in identifying that he's a SuperCoach player early on. A lot of people will probably a bit gun-shy to do it. Like they can see that that's available. But that's the risk you got to take. We've saved a trade. I know you're probably going to sell Tamalolo anyway, so you would have been better to start with someone else.
Well, it's better to get one right rather than two wrong.
Yeah. Well, I guess onto that is the top 3 most disappointing SuperCoach players of the week. You already said one, Drew Hutchison, 30-odd points.
I wouldn't put him in the top 3 most disappointing.
He was pretty popular, centre wing halfback. I think
he scored about the same as Nico Cleary and all that, and he's priced a third of their price. So
he did, but I think just the eye test for me. That's why he's in my bottom 3. Another one, Jai Arrow. Yes, he scored 39 in the Vegas round, but he's out for the season with an injury, and it's all guns blazing to get him out of the side. And we've already spoken about another one, Jason Taumalolo, 21 minutes. As you said, you're probably holding strong this week. Expect more minutes. I kind of agree. I kind of think he's going to get more minutes this week, but it's very concerning.
I think he's a definite sell, though, like whether it's this week or next week. You don't want to have him being the guy that whenever the Cowboys are up, they just don't bring him back on. And that was the thing, like he would just got to sit back and watch the team putting the pumping, and while they're putting the pumping, I was like, well, we don't need you. Like, it's not like he was out there for a lot of that time during the time. Like, he only played his early minutes. And yeah, that sucked, bro. So,
what a bad way to end the week.
I think for me, picking him, it was just the price seemed okay. I thought he'd be getting 40s at least, and there was also this this excitement of maybe he could just go out and have a massive year, but it's not looking like it.
You know what I said? So, in our NRL show on The Burst, I named my team of the year, not expected Daily M team of the year, but my predicted Daily M team of the year. And he was in my front row. You kind of looked at me like you were high on Tamalolo earlier in the season.
But you did get the Talakai one. No, it's only one round, but he had a blinder.
I know. When he had a blinder, I'm just like, I think it's the year of the bounce back, and I thought Jason Tamalolo would fit in that mold.
Yeah.
I think Jason Taumalolo under Todd Payton is a different beast, though. Like, I think Todd Payton really wants to manage Jason Taumalolo, And with him, it was more a hopeful pick. And
I don't get it though, right? Like why he wants to manage him. Like you're the coach there for a certain period. He might not get him for the back year.
That's true.
Part of the career. I'd be getting the most out of him to make me look better as a coach. You know what I mean? I don't care what the back end is.
Hey, they looked brilliant on the weekend though.
And what's the point of just getting 20 minutes out of Lolo, like running decoys for the rest of his career, when you could actually get him to go on there and have like 2 or 3 more ripper and tear years? Like,
yeah.
I'm annoyed about it, but it is what it is.
I heard a good point on Bloke in a Bar. They were actually saying maybe it is because they do think they're in a premiership window that they're easing into his minutes. So like if they just if they front load his energy way too much, then by the end of the season he's going to be cooked. By the end of the season, expect him to play 40 to 45 to 50. If he is at his damaging best.
I can kind of respect it to an extent from that perspective if, like, you're playing the long game for a season, but not the long game for a 10-year period.
Yeah. But it's been 3 years, right? Yeah. And bloody Taumalo, it's been the same story with Taumalo under Todd Payton. I think Taumalo, just as a SuperCoach option, is he done?
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, unless he comes out this week and plays 60 minutes, has a whole bunch of offloads, and
he didn't look his best though. Like when he was running, it wasn't that intent. Like when he was at his best, he was running with a bit, like he was sprinting, but he had a bit of a hop in his run. Like he was like so keen to run the ball up. Now it's just like Aiden Tolman areas where he's just doing it because he has to. Anyway, enough about Taumalo, because he's not that highly owned anyway, but he is one of the most traded out this weekend. It's probably the easiest trade of your life to go Taumalo to Taumay this week. Happy as you can be. Hot topic of the week. We're going to do our SuperCoach debate, and the topic is trading in week 1. I've been a massive fan in the past of not doing it in week 1, and I think there are certain situations where let's just flip a coin anyway. So we don't have a physical coin on us, so we're going to ask Siri. Hey, Siri, can you flip a coin? Heads or tails?
Heads.
Something else I can help with?
Hey, Siri, can you flip a coin?
It's tails this time.
So what do you want?
I'll go against trading because
okay.
I think this is the easiest week to not trade, and I really think that it's an easy 2 up your sleeve. You've gone with all these players in the preseason, and you've had months to choose them. I get situations like Jairo Spencerino, you've got to trade them, but if you have issues like Taumalolo, give it another week. Just let it play out. We have our boost. We can boost 2 weeks in a row. There's players who are available who, there's cheapies like Tommy Talau on the horizon. Lachlan Galvin was named today. There's a lot of different type of cheapies and that we can downgrade to the week after week 3. We don't necessarily have to do all our trades in 1 week now because of all the buys and all these injuries and sort of stuff. We can wait. I'm talking myself out of not trading. What are your arguments?
I think saving trades is important, but there's plenty of time to do that. Yes, we have put a lot of prep into our pre-season, but sometimes you've got to admit what you've got wrong, make some changes, get on the front foot, and not just be passive, letting your team fizzle into the 50,000s. Like if you've seen something that you've identified is going to improve the balance of your side, and you want to make some trades, maybe you did spend up too much somewhere, and you need to shift a bit of balance there. Personally, for myself, I think where I've failed is not having that gun centre winger. Whether obviously it would be nice to have your boy Val Holmes, but I'd still feel just as comfortable having like a gun there, like Marju even. The fact I don't have that, I think I want to balance that up. I think that when you look at the top scores for the week, there's so many in the centre wingers, big scores, and a lot of the other positions seem to lack, and I'm struggling in that position. So I want to boost that up. over this week and next week because I've gone very light there. But I think, look, plenty of time to save trades. If I wouldn't be panic trading, and, like, for example, if it's a Nathan Cleary, if it's a Nico Hines, I'd stick strong on those guys 100%. But if there's other guys that you thought you just wanted to back but you don't like what you see, for instance, I've got Moses. That injury is really playing on my mind. You're comfortable with it. I can't sit there and my mind's told me to do something with it, so I've got to do something with it. It might come back to bite me on the ass because his jaw's nice, but I'd rather go with the guy that doesn't have an injury. So, I guess it is always team dependent. If you've nailed it, even you want to sit back and fold your arms, go for it. But then on the flip side, there might be, more than 3 guys you want to bring in next week. So if you can at least bring in one guy this week, that'll make it easier next week for you too, without having to potentially even boost and waste a boost. So there's a lot of reasons to trade.
For sure. I think I sit more on the side of trading just because in the past, the last 3 seasons, I was looking at it the other day, I've ranked in the top 150 every single year. And that's not because of not trading. That's because of trading hard. And it's always within the first 10 weeks. Obviously, I always fall off, but I've got to find a balance there. And I think trading hard early will get you that leg up that you need, and you're not necessarily chasing your ass late in the season to do that. And I'm looking at some options now, and I'm either going to trade very heavily this week, or I'm not going to trade at all. There's no in between this week because there are some things I like and some things I don't like in my side. But
For you trading, is it more about getting rid of guys that you're not impressed with, or is it more about wanting to get guys that you're like, I need them?
Yeah,
they're going to get me up there.
Yeah,
it's more about getting the guys that you think can do things.
Yeah,
me too.
And I'll tell you about them after we go through team lists and when we talk about trades. But let's get into the team lists. Rabbitohs versus the Broncos. The key changes here. Arrow is out for the season. Tallis Duncan goes straight into the edge. 320K. I was high on Tallis Duncan in the preseason, and hot tip, he could feature in my trade plans this week, and he could feature in my 17 potentially. Brendan Piakura is named. Corey Jensen, someone I'm interested in. I want to have a look at potential swaps from Taumalolo to Corey Jensen is on the cards this week, but both sides are pretty much looking exactly as they did in Vegas. Tapau is on the bench. Xavier Willison is at number 19. Not much else there. Anything that prickles you? Oh, Jacob Gagai also retained his spot on the wing, so we had a bit of speculation that Isaac Thompson couldn't make America, which it was the case, but the fact that he hasn't got his spot again means Jacob Gagai's locked in, so maybe he's...
The more cheapies that...
There's a lot now.
Yeah. They always seem to just...
happen.
Present themselves. It's nice. The Supercoach gods aren't that cruel to us.
Anything here for you? Or
not particularly, just that Piakura is back.
Piakura, is he a play?
I'm going to play him, yeah.
Yep. Jacob Gagai, if you have him, is he a play?
I don't think my team's strong enough to not play him with a few Titans on the bye this week. So, Gags, did you say? I don't have him. Would I play him? Maybe not. I think there's probably better options in your side.
I just got a bit of a flashback to the Supercoach launch party in the Las Vegas party, the non-Vegas party at the Star. Do you remember you asked the question?
Yeah.
Do I play Gagai today? And you go, I don't know if his job security's good. And I kind of called you out live on stage, and I'm sorry about this because I get why you're saying it now. So your answer was, I don't think his job security is good enough. And what I said to you on the mic in front of 500 people, I said, why are you worried about Jacob Gagai's job security when he's playing today? Like, the question was, do I play him? And you're like, well, I don't know about his job security.
Yeah, so I must have misread the question.
No, but I kind of get it. I think your answer was I wouldn't have him in the first place
Yeah.
because of his job security. So I want to apologise for that because it felt like a real dig after that. But my other question for that day was, do I start with Tommy Turbo? And I think you said yes. But moving on to the Sharks versus the Bulldogs. Jesus, the Sharks. Defensive performance last Friday, 6 p.m. I captained Nico Hines, and I think I'm a bit gun-shy to do it again, to be honest. And I expect a bounce back from the Bulldogs, but the Bulldogs are 1-17 once again. Sam Hughes on the bench, Kurt Mann on the bench. Kick out at second row, Salmon at 13. Karaz is still in centre. Connor Tracy is named on the wing for Josh Adokar. We're expecting Bronson Sherry to come in. I kind of like that because I want Bronson Sherry to be an option a bit later on. And on the other side of the park, the Sharks are as they were the week before as well. Not much to talk about there. What's your take on this game? Nico Hines, you expecting bounce back from him?
I think he'll score a lot better.
Yeah.
I think he'll be a lot probably closer to the 80 mark, and maybe even better.
Yep.
It's a good matchup for him. I think I'll be VCing.
Yep.
Just playing this, not ideal to loop with a lot of the smaller scores, but the way things are going, if you get
100,
yeah, it's tough to get good captain scores until like everyone's nailing big tons or whatever. I think I'd be comfortable to loop and take a small AE. Yeah.
And the thing is, you're playing people who are pretty unproven in the NRL arena, so it's easy to drop someone. With Jamin Salmon starting at number 13, had a lot of questions about his score and his minutes and all that sort of stuff. He played 80 minutes, but one thing to note, he was on 26 points before Josh Adokar got injured and he got moved out to centre. So he played the rest of his minutes out at centre, and pretty much scored nothing from there.
It's hard to read into, though, because he may have only played another 5 minutes in the middle and then come off for the rest of the game and not come back on. So would his score have been that much better than if he did move out to the centres anyway? You know what I mean?
That's true. I like what I saw from him, though. So I'm happy to persist with him. But he's also someone, in my opinion, that if you really need to trade someone, it's probably
Hutcho's probably that guy as well for me.
Well,
just at the
it.
price point, he's at 350, and I'm like, if I could get, if I need to trade one of my centre wingers, it's probably him. Although I still think there's value in him to make a little bit of money there. Like I think he can go up to 500k.
You say you're lacking in the centre wing department. Is Karaz someone you're interested in? Scored 49 in base.
There's a lot more. There's so many other players on my radar above him. I'm a big Karaz fan for Supercoach. Just the way he, just fends, tackle busts. He gets involved a lot, but just not for me at the moment. I just think there's so much better options.
Moving on to the 8 o'clock Friday game, Penrith versus the Parramatta Eels, where the Parramatta Eels get up for the Penrith side, and Penrith are looking to bounce back. Mitch Kenny is back. Scott Sorensen is back, which pushes Luke Garner to the bench, which pushes Matt Eisenhuth out. This means that Liam Henry keeps his spot, 35 points. I was very happy with his performance on the weekend.
He's got a good presence. Like he looks like when he's out there in defence and his body, like he's got massive shoulders. I just noticed his baby face the first couple of times I've seen him. And then that game, I was like, geez, you're actually like a...
He's like big, but he looks nuggety, even though he's not short.
Yeah, it's weird. He's tall.
He's thick.
I'm all for him. I think that they believe in him too, and I think he might be a good cheapie there for us.
I was actually, this guy was meant to be in my top 3 Supercoach players of the week, along with his brother. I was going to pair them up together to make them be 3, but Taylor May looked awesome. If you don't have him and you're looking at buying someone that price, him or Laybut,
it was the only thing that looked dangerous for us, and he'd get the ball and he'd just like this speed and direct and it was just unique. He just ran in a unique way, and I'm really excited about him for the Panthers as well.
I'll tell you what's funny. I was kind of off him in the preseason. I just thought centre, I don't know what to expect. Like I know the back end of his last season on the wing, he kind of fell off a bit towards the end after having a really hot start. So I think that I kind of got scared off by that, but he looks bigger. That family, man.
Well, they want they want to get lined up and.
Well, Taylor looks like he's going to re-sign. So if Penrith get Terrell May,
well, it makes more sense for him to come here than anywhere else. Yeah.
Fuck, how good would that be? Like, imagine Terrell May coming off the bench instead of like Lindsay Smith or Liam Henry.
Like him.
I think Lindsay Smith or Liam Henry are good players, but he just adds a lot to far out. That they would be like premiership favourites in a heartbeat, even though they already are. But yeah, Taylor May looked very good on the other side of the park. Parramatta 117 once again. Joey Lussick looked very good on the weekend.
Yeah, I just had spent that extra 100K, hey. But who's to know?
He's a much more playable option than Danny Levi, in my opinion. Bryce Cartwright.
Yeah. I don't think I had any doubt about him not being
good again.
Gun. Yeah, still lucky. Just the attitude that he had last year, match that with the skill set that he's got. He just brought it back and did it again. And I think he definitely could be a good option for SuperCoach this year.
One person I'm actually eyeing off is their front rower, Junior Paulo. I know it's a weird one, but 577,000. A lot of people went with Max King early on in the year. If I had Max King and I was looking at moving him on, if you already had Terrell May, he scored 61 points in 43 minutes. He had a try contribution. He had 12 tackles, 8 points in offloads. He had 28 points in hit-ups.
I don't love it.
I
think he's a good guy that can do a job, but I don't think he's the guy that's going to get you ahead or anything.
The minutes are obviously a worry, but just the eye test with Junior Paulo, and I was looking how fit he looks. I don't think I could do it.
Maybe he might be your AFB of last year, mate. Keep an eye on him.
He could be. Mitch Moses sustained an injury, but looks like he'll be good. Why not kick goals? What are your thoughts around him?
How is it only me and you that own him, or how what's the percentage ownership?
He's actually pretty high. He's pretty high owned. Let me have a look. So he's owned by 13% of teams.
We can talk about
20,000 people.
Yeah. So we're on completely different sides of the fence. You're pretty keen on holding him. We both love the draw. I think he's a nice price to step towards Cleary, but if he has another really bad score this week, which he could, he drops a little bit of money, he'd need to then go, bang, bang, bang against these in the few weeks that we have him, 4 weeks, probably 4 or 5 weeks before we want to sell him to Cleary. Ideally, he doesn't go down in price, which my gut feeling is he still will.
Yeah.
If he's got any, I don't know, groin injuries. You said you've had one. I've had a groin thing. I don't think I did it being athletic. I think I was just going about.
I had one very recently, and it stops your explosiveness. That's
what I'm worried about for him.
That's the best part of his game, and it's funny because I've always thought before I had this injury, I was like, why don't they just kick goals still if they can still run? I don't get it. I tried to kick goals with it. It was the most uncomfortable thing you could do. So I wouldn't be surprised if he had a very similar injury to myself. I was playing OzTag by the Wednesday after not running at all week, and then by the weekend I was good again. So
you're good.
I was good again. It was still slightly tender, but it was not worrying me at all.
I'd love to just really get a vibe of how he is actually feeling. Because if he's close enough to 100%, and then next week he's going to be pretty much 100%, I'd hold. But if he's carrying he's playing at 70% or 80% for the next 3-4 weeks, I don't want to borrow that. Just as I was saying in the car ride here, all his attack comes from around the halfway point. He steps on the outside of a second rower or the opposite playmaker, and then has some mad line break, try assist.
Yeah, if he's going to sit back this week and just try and direct the team, then I don't want to borrow it either.
I think I'm going to just react to it. I'd hate it because I feel like he's got a mad draw.
I've got a potential solution. and I'm going to pitch it to you and see if you like it, all right? But we'll talk about that in trades.
You're going to talk about just not playing him this week.
No. I've got
plenty of guys I'd trade him to.
I've got something. I've got something.
Yeah.
And I think you might like it. Sean Lane. 80 minutes, 41 points.
I know where you're going with it. And I love it.
Do you want me to just tell you?
Yeah. Is it?
So, okay. I've kind of got to skip ahead to the next one of the next team lists. We've still got a bit to go through. Anyway, Sean Lane and Piakura.
Yeah.
Two of my mid-rangers. Straight down to Tallis Duncan and Kai Pearce-Paul because I love the look of Kai Pearce-Paul. I think he's a SuperCoach player. Tallis Duncan, he's going to be in my starting side as soon as he comes into my side.
Yeah, because if you
I
want
love him.
these guys, you're going to have to sell someone to get them. I just hate selling guys I still have promise.
I know. And then I use a boost to go Moses to Cleary.
Okay, that was one of my first thoughts. That's not where I thought you were going to go with this at all. I was going the complete opposite spectrum.
What do you think I was going to do?
Like Lockie Galvin and just free up a whole lot of cash.
I don't think I can do that. I think
could it be available for a duel?
I think he's only available at 5'8". I don't have any jewels. I've got Kyle Flanagan.
And who have I got? Oh, yeah, my guy's not going to be able to do it either. Damn it.
What are your thoughts?
I kind of like it just because, look, just save the F around. It's only...
It sucks that I'm using 3 trades on something I could have just like... But the thing is, the annoying thing with Moses is if he banked 70 points, even...
For me, it's not the points that he scored, it's just the injury. Like, I'm just worried about what's going forward. I don't give a shit about the 30. I don't really even give a shit about the fact he's playing the Panthers this week. It's just annoying.
But I'm looking at Moses' draw coming up, and he plays a hard matchup this week in Penrith, which I think if he's okay, he can dominate. But then he's got Manly and the Tigers the following week. So I don't know what Manly side's going to show up.
No, Manly will be a good Manly side.
They are at CommBank, and they're at CommBank for West Tigers, which is a good matchup as well. But I know I've gone against Cleary all preseason.
He might just have enough, like 2 losses. Just he really, he's like, I've had enough of this. I don't want. And
he's played 2 pretty high intense games early on, and we've seen from the sample size every year, it's 2 big games, and then that big one comes. I don't expect the big one from Cleary to come this week, but I'm more confident that Cleary can turn up against the Eels than Moses can turn up against the Panthers.
The only thing I'm not for it is, like, say...
Wasting 3 trades?
Yeah, that. And, like, say him and Hines do both start the season quite slow. Like, maybe it takes them... Let's just say we're not happy for the first 4 weeks. They're all sub-80s. It's like, you know... Then they're sort of starting to lose a bit of cash. Yeah. I know you don't want to sell those sorts of players, and it doesn't really matter, but it is annoying.
Yeah.
And if you are starting to lose faith in one of them, then you might have lost a bit of cash. Look, I'm sort of still thinking I want to go to plug someone else in between that job. And, yeah, man, we'll get to that later in trades.
And the other side of the park is selling Lane and Piakura. It's obviously early, but I also think Kai Pearce-Paul and Tallis Duncan, points-wise, very similar.
I don't know about that.
You don't know?
Yeah, I like the look of Kai Pearce-Paul. I do think he looks good, and Tallis Duncan's obviously a young talent, but at second, I like the look of him more through the middle. It's not like I've seen him like running mad lines to score tries or anything. I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like Piakura could be good for those sort of couple of 70s here and there more regularly, and Lane as well. But I don't know. I don't think
it doesn't feel right, but I like the look of it, and I really want to get Tallis Duncan and Kai Pearce-Paul in. You've got to sell one of these guys to get them, and it sucks because all these guys have money to make. I think maybe you wait another week at least, because these guys, like Piakura, if he pumps out an 11, he's going to lose money. Yeah, he'll make it back, but...
I'm starting to... I'm more... it's just the Cleary thing. I do have a feeling he could just come out and just go bang and just put up hundreds week after week from this week onwards.
Yeah, all right. Something to think about. 3 p.m. Saturday, Raiders play the Tigers. Seb Chris is back. He's playing centre. Push out Nick Kotrick, which pushes Hopewade to the edge. Hosking is still on the edge. Smithy's still at 13, which is very good. Levi still at 9. On the other side of the park, we haven't seen the Tigers this year. Charlie Sains on the wing. Junior Chupo on the wing. Solomani Fatape in the centres. Looks like a cheapy prospect. Lachlan Galvin, named at 5'8". Alex Seyfarth, named at lock, starting lock, 320k. Appy named starting 9. Aiden Caesar named at 14. There's a lot going on here. Processing?
Yeah, I think Appy's interested to see how he goes. I think at that price, and he could be one of the better hookers. I think I can't now. I was just because I've got Harry, I was still annoyed. I've really figured they both got to buy early. I might as well just take the better bloke. But now that Appy's got his buy out of the way and Harry's got one upcoming, oh geez, I kind of just wish I went the other way around it. But yeah, especially with the kicking too. Galvin's interesting. Do you reckon he's going to keep that spot, or will you have to keep an eye on?
Well, if Caesar's on the bench,
that's weird.
It's his spot. It's a weird one. For me, I started with Flanagan. I'm pretty happy with that, but it's a perfect downgrade after 1 week if Flanagan, scores average over the next 2 weeks. Hopefully I can get a 100k price rise and his break-even's not too low.
Yeah, and the good thing for Strange owners is they can just sell one of their centre wingers, move Strange down, and then put Galvin at 5'8".
There's a lot of these guys, and I think you've got to go off the eye test with these guys. With Flanagan, I think I'll cash him out as soon as I can for someone like Galvin, and it's a perfect opportunity to do it. That's if Galvin looks good, SuperCoach-wise. I think with guys like Kai Pearce-Paul on the horizon, this Solomonu Fatape is 204k.
I don't know anything about him. I'd want to watch that
in
first.
The centre wing. If he looks good, someone like Drew Hutchison, SuperCoach eye test, he's an obvious downgrade. Even Jamin Salmon.
Yeah. Potentially, even if you need 100k to fund something else, Bostock as well.
That's it.
You ideally want to give these cheapies a bit more of a go. But
I think this is the year where we thought there were going to be no cheapies. It seems like in week 2 we've gotten the cheapies, but we're kind of like, hey, hang on, we need them a bit later.
Where did you come from?
Yeah. So massive watch that game. Solomone Fatape in the centres, massive watch. Lachlan Galvin, massive watch, and Alex Seyfarth, 328k. I think he's going to be a nice little smoky too. Cowboys versus the Knights, 5:30 on Saturday. Cowboys are 1-17 once again. Lukey looked good on the weekend. Taumalolo is there. Reece Robson did well as hooker number 1. On the other side of the park, Tom Jenkins takes Nari Tuala's spot. Kai Pearce-Paul starts on the edge because Dylan Lucas is out.
So he's with a HIAs that just didn't come back in time from that?
It says here that Englishman Kai Pearce-Paul has been promoted to the starting side after showing a strong off the bench round 1. It doesn't say anything about Dylan Lucas. What the hell? It says former Rabbitoh Jed Cartwright has forced his way into the 17th. 17. So he's 17.
Yeah, it could be a nervous one to just rush in. It might be just a... Dylan Lucas could be
43 in 40 minutes.
Yeah, impressive in the time for sure. But I mean, you don't have to go this week unless you wanted to do it to fund, you're downgrading to him to fund things. You don't have to do it this week.
It's a tough one, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't think I want to spend.
I'd probably want to get more information.
Yeah.
But when you talk about guys like Seyfarth, I think I like the sound of Kai Pearce-Paul upside more than a Seyfarth.
Yeah, for sure.
And even a Tallis Duncan at that price too, more than Seyfarth.
Yeah, for sure. The Cowboys looked very good. You'd be happy if you're pretty much stocked up with them, wouldn't you?
Drinky owners would be a bit annoyed that their team put on a big amount of points and he just didn't have his hand in those try assists that he normally does.
He
But
was there and thereabouts,
it's
though.
not that he had a bad game. It's just that the plays went they finalised plays, the tries on different plays and stuff like that. Yeah, so,
I think the fact that he scored 46 without any try involvement or
Yeah,
line
it's
breaks
not
or
too
anything, it's
stressful.
pretty good. But I don't know, with the way the Cowboys looked, I
the
expect
best thing
another
for
big
him
score.
is the way that the team's looking. So, yeah.
For sure. Zach Laybart, how many of these is too many? So obviously we've got Lukey. People have Tamalolo, Robson. Sam McIntyre is also another one, 238K. Available in second row. Scored 46 on the weekend. Played 47 minutes. I think it was like 30 points in runs, 20 points in tackles. He looked
Yeah.
very good.
Ooh, I'm just trying to find when they've got the bye. I don't think it's
They have a late bye, like
Yeah.
around 9.
I don't think it's too stressful having too many. I don't think it's too
No.
stressful. Yeah.
All right, last game on the Saturday, Storm versus the Warriors. Munster looks like he's going to be out longer than expected. So Pezzard's an interesting one if their draw opens up, maybe after the bye, but probably not. Elias Katoa looked good.
Yeah.
Joe Chan keeps his second row spot. Not much else doing there. But on the other side of the park, not much else doing there either. Tuapiki keeps his spot. Roger Tuivasa-Sheck keeps his spot. Any comments here?
Would have liked more from RTS on the first week, but I think we just be patient with that one and hope to, see what he get a bit more of his trial
He
form
scored
come in.
47 in that. It was a dogfight. It was,
And you'll take it, yeah.
Yeah, and he looked very good. I think who marked him was Ramian, and he was very good. He was rushing up on him every time, and there was like 3 blokes there every time. First game on the Sunday, Sea Eagles versus the Roosters. Tommy Talau gets the wing spot for Jason Saab, who is out for 6 weeks. Tommy Talau, 277,000, so he's an obvious watch. Ben Trebojevic keeps his spot. Not much else doing for the Manly Sea Eagles, but on the other side of the park, Dominic Young comes back. Joseph Manu and Suali'i in the centres. Jared Warrior-Hargraves comes back. Wong is named. Tupanua is named. Terrell May is named. Nafahu White and Butcher on the bench, so we can expect similar minutes. Obviously, there was a couple of injuries for the Roosters in Vegas, so this will be a better gauge of how many minutes all these forwards are getting. It's pretty late in the round, though, so someone like Tupanua, do you wait?
Wait to what?
Or do you bench him, just expecting him not to play?
If you can, but I mean, a lot of us might be struggling with that depth. You might be looking at Tupanua or a really, really sketchy looking centre wing that you don't have any faith in. So in that, depending on your depth, I'd go with still playing him.
Yeah, I think so too. I think if you've got the depth, it's just team dependent. But Terrell May, the most traded in this week, I think for good reason. Hopefully we see no injuries this week, so we get a better look of how his minutes are. But even if he plays 40 minutes, he's a good purchase, in my opinion. Dolphins versus the Dragons is the last game on Sunday at 6:15. For the Dolphins, Ewan Aitken comes in at second row. Isaiah Katoa in at halfback. Max Plath, named at 13. He's available at 5'8 only. He is pretty cheap. He looked good on the weekend. A popular purchase this week for someone like Taumalolo and Jai Arrow and Spencer Linu, Josh Kerr. He played 45 minutes on the weekend and scored 70 points with a try. He looked good, though.
Yeah.
So 40 points without the try. If that's what you want in your side, he'll make a bit of money. But the eye test was the big thing for me, is running the ball hard.
Yeah, I don't know. I need to see a bit more of that one. I don't like the idea of it a great deal. I think I'd rather spend a little bit more on someone with just 100k more and get a starter.
Yeah, just get someone you won't have to worry about for a long time.
Yeah.
And I know Terrell May plays off the bench. Josh Kerr, I think it's a bit of a different story because we haven't seen a massive sample size from him. We haven't from Terrell May either, but at least we saw it last year. For the Dragons, Zach Lomax named, obviously. Had a blinder on the weekend. Are you interested?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I really like the idea of him being on 85 with 20 minutes to go, I think there was.
Without a try.
Without a try. Just so many runs, a lot of tackle bust, kicking goals, more opportunity to score tries. I mean, I don't think it's going to be an anomaly. I just think that's maybe how he plays on the wing.
Yeah.
Maybe
I think this is exactly the player he is on the wing, but I think we have to see it again just because, like, someone... you don't keep that up. Like, that's
I feel
ridiculous.
like he could go a little bit more into his shell a bit.
Yeah.
But maybe that could be a massive outlier.
I also think his floor at wing is going to be a lot less. Because he had, like, I think it was like 40 points in hit-ups. So
I think he's 100K less than Val Holmes. I'd always prefer to have Val Holmes, I think, than him.
Yep.
Just being the side that...
Just more attacking stats.
Yeah, and Val Holmes as an individual, I guess, is more...
But on the weekend,
pizzazzy.
16 points in goals. He had 20 points in tackle busts and 37 points in runs. So
I love the idea of the wing, though. The wing.
Yeah.
The good thing about the wing is just he could just be put over for loads
You
of
get
tries.
the runs. So 37 points in runs, 20 in that's 57 before
the runs,
goals.
but also the tries too.
Yeah, but that's 57 points before goals. So that's 73 points with goals. Mind you, the Dragons aren't going to score 28 every week, but from what we saw, it could happen more often than we expected.
Yeah, I mean, they seem to be rejuvenated. I really liked that. They smashed the Tigers in the trials, and then they played the Dolphins here, just didn't really defend so well. But they seem like they believe in, like, they probably don't believe they're going to win the comp, but I think they believe that they are going to do a lot better. So that's awesome for them.
All right. There's a couple of others here. Luciano Leilua is named at 17, but there is a lot of interest in a couple of blokes here. Raymond Fatala-Mariner at 363K and Tom Eisenhuth available at centre wing and second row. Both churned out pretty good scores. Also Jacob Little, people interested in him. Any comments on either of these guys? I think with Fatala-Mariner and Eisenhuth, I want to see this week and see if Luciano Leilua is named to start next week. But yeah,
Mariner, I feel like that could have just been a mad game
for sure. He scored like 80 points. The thing with him is Kai Pearce-Paul, Tallis Duncan on the horizon. I think there's much better options at the moment.
Yeah,
Little.
Yeah, well, that's one that I'm really sort of. I wish I kind of wasn't a bitch and went with Harry. I wish I had have. I wish I hadn't have. I feel like going with Harry was just a bit of a bitchy move for me to do. If I had just been a little bit more braver and gone a cheaper bloke, and I really liked the look of Little, and I just got a bit turned off. I think there was an injury leading into round one, a bit of a. But yeah, he got really nice minutes, and looks awesome. So I feel like you could have him as your number one hooker, and you could compete quite well.
Yeah, I agree. All right. That's it for that team list. Big team list, eh?
Yeah,
like it feels like there was bigger than last week.
2 extra games than last week as well.
Yep. We're going to go through some questions because last week, I put out a post today in the SuperCoach Experience Facebook group. So we'll only put out a call for that and answer questions from there in here. Thomas Usher says 90K in the bank, not quite enough to go Linu to May. Do I downgrade to someone like Henry or should I trade out the likes of Firma to bank a bit of cash and bring in May?
So he's talking about trying to get it done in 2 trades?
Yep.
Who do you want to trade out?
He wants to trade out Linu. He's got 90K in the bank, but he can't afford in May. So Firma.
Well, I think he's the right guy to go to rather than just going to another guy that you can't afford. I think you need.
I think with Firma, it was a bit underwhelming. He didn't play with Kieran Foran.
Massive thing.
Massive, but we don't know if Fafita comes back and plays on the left.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with selling him to the likes of Kai Pearce-Paul or Tallis Duncan.
Yeah, I can get around.
And
that.
I think they're 2 good trades. We've got Ian Stewart. When to pull the trigger on a gun? If Hines goes 4 weeks like this, do you stick solid or cut your losses?
With Hines and Cleary,
stick to it.
Yeah.
They don't lose money if you don't sell them.
Yeah.
Liam Howie can make a trade of Arrow and Bostock for Terrell May and Laybut, but not sure if it's worth waiting a week to see if players replicate the bounce back form from last week.
I reckon we'll probably want to buy Laybut. I mean, we say he comes out and puts just up like a 40 this week. He's going to have still a nice break even where he'll make some money. That 100's going to roll out quick enough that might put some people off. The 40, they might think, oh, maybe that's closer to what he's at. But just the fact that he had those in there at that price point, I think he's probably someone I'm going to bring in either this week or next week.
Yep.
Just based on the eye test, unless it goes to shit this week and I don't do it this week, I might pull back. But I've got a feeling I'm leaning towards that's the best way I can afford without ripping my team apart. Doing the other trade I need to do.
Yeah, I do think they're pretty good trades. And I really feel like with Arrow to May, that's slam dunk. With the other one, and Laybut, Aaron Bostock, like Bostock, realistically, you're not going to be confident playing him. Laybut's a playable option. So I think they're two good trades. And realistically, we don't get a good sample size of how these players are going to play until we see round one. So if you didn't like what you saw from Bostock and you're not going to be comfortable playing him, which I wouldn't be. I thought he looked good, but I think he's still got a lot to go.
They were getting pumps. They obviously didn't have a whole lot of ball as well. They do like going down the right side a fair bit, but that, attacks go down the other side, and wingers are often the recipient of that.
Yeah.
So he'll get his tries along the way. I just think Laybut's definitely a playable option, and I think he's going to make better money.
For sure. And he just looks like a SuperCoach player of the future. And last one, we've got way more, but obviously just cutting it down because can't just answer every question twice. Andrew Bicknell, Sav, more of a broader question about strategy and not about one particular player. How does the low-scoring results across the board from round one change your view and tactics for the rest of the season, if at all? Do certain positions now become more important or less important? Do value balance change? I'm not asking if we should sell all our premiums after one bad round because we shouldn't, but how should round one change your view on 2024 compared to the preseason?
It's a really long question.
It's a very long question.
That question was asked to you, so you should answer it.
Well, I think don't panic. I think players, it's obviously a cohesion type thing. I think if we get a port next week, then you kind of start to think, okay, these players, I can't have too many of these players I'm spending so much money on when all the points are going into centre wing. I need another centre wing or something because that's what we've seen from week one. And the halves kind of haven't fired a shot yet. But in my opinion, this happens every year. Round one is very low scoring, and I did kind of harp on about it a bit, but I kind of believe the narrative that we're going to start a lot quicker than most other seasons. It didn't happen last year. Round one, I captained Cameron Murray because I was like, I need just a forward to get me through, a forward with upside who plays big minutes just to get me through week one. And he scored 86, and I was happy with that. And it happens every season, and I kind of veered away from that early on because I bought into the narrative of we're going to start fast. I think our expectation is week 3, 4, 5 is when we're going to start to see the big scores, and you're going to want these players for that time. So if you sell them now, in 3 or 4 weeks, you're going to be like, shit, I need that player now because the scoring's starting to open up now. I know we saw the Cowboys on the weekend and they scored quite big. Teams are going to do that. The Cowboys have obviously emphasized on their preseason and they're going to start hot. Teams like the Dragons, they're going to start hot. All these Dragons options aren't going to be options in the middle of the season because they've emphasized on the fast start. All these other sides who haven't started fast, well, then they're more of a slow burn.
Yep. So my short answer to that is just, I like the idea of centers, stacking the centers.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Stacking the centers.
Yeah.
And we talked about that in the center wing podcast where, like, there's not many cheapies going around. Maybe we've got to get the premium center wings.
Yeah, and I went away from it. Which I hate myself for. But, yeah, I reckon that's
But then
a good
again,
thing.
week 2, you might be like, shit, my center wings just killed it. But, like, I also think there's merit in starting with guys like May and Labart. That's a solid call.
Yeah.
Ben Trebojevic is your third. If you can get another guy in there at 4, then that's solid.
Yeah. But I want the guy that's getting tons, not guys getting 50s.
That's it. Bold predictions. Feels like we're doing it early, but we've been going for 55 minutes. But bold predictions. Last week, we got a couple. There was a few ones we're going over in the car, and we let Mikey off pretty lightly, didn't we? One of his bold predictions was a team to score 34 points. And I think in the future, we're not going to let that slide.
Or more, not exactly, but yeah.
34 points or more.
Yeah.
And that team was the Cowboys. It happened in the last game. We're not going to let him slide that easily in the future. One of his bold predictions was Hines and Cleary under 150. I mean, round 1 footy. It's not that bold. So we're not going to let him go that easily in the future. But Tim, you're 2.5 out of 6 predictions for the year. I'm on top with 3 out of 6. Mikey and Jake are 2 out of 6. What is your bold prediction for this week?
Fuck.
You're like, I haven't even thought of it. All right. Well, I'm going to go James Tedesco above 90. I think he's someone I'm looking at as a potential captain option this week. And I'm very excited to have James Tedesco in my side this week. I'm going to go... I want the Cowboys. I'm going to go Kalen Ponga, less than 60. Is that bold?
Yeah, it is.
I think the Cowboys look really hot, and
I think for him to have gone like 50 and then another like 60, I think that's bold.
I think
I can see it happening too.
I do think
I'm a bit worried about them. The Knights, they looked a bit.
I think they'll bounce back, but I think they've still got a bit of work to do. So Kalen Ponga below 60, and I could have egg on my face after this, but I'll also go. I think Adam Fanua-Blake is going to back it up again. He turned up on the weekend. I think he's going to score a try and go 90 plus again against the Storm.
Okay. I'm going to go... Is Nico 80 plus acceptable?
Yes.
Good. I'll then go... Val Holmes under 80. I'm just hoping that Gay Guy will be able to do a job on him.
Yep.
And I need him to because I'm not going to be able to pick him up this week. And if he does go a ton again this week, it's going to stress me out so much. And the third one I'm going to go, I think Lomax can have another big game. 85 plus. He was on 80 before 20 minutes ago.
So Lomax 85 plus.
Yeah, can I take 80?
Sure.
Thank you.
All right, we'll get Jake's and Mikey's predictions. But let's move on to captains. I've gone... Teddy's my captain at the moment. Well, Nico's my captain at the moment, but I'm a bit gun-shy from last week. I want to see how the Sharks go with attack. I think they've emphasised on defence massively in the preseason. And I think Nico and Trindle are going to share a bit of attack. Didn't see any attack from Nico, so I guess we'll see how that goes. But I'm going Teddy. He averages 80 versus Manly. His high score is 140 against Manly, so I'm pretty... Teddy's my captain at the moment. Looked good in week 1. I've also got Latrell, who could be a potential captain in the first game on the Thursday against the Broncos, or Nico, averages 85 against the Bulldogs.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Nico vice captain, and I reckon I'll loop anything over 100.
Yep.
That'll probably be my cutoff point, 100, yep. And my captain is going to be your opposing fullback,
Tommy
Chirba.
It's a good one.
Hoping he can just even, if it's a tight game, I expect it's going to be a quality game of footy, and it might not be an ideal captain.
Yep.
But when I don't have a great deal of many guns this point in the year, he's probably my guy. I feel like he can get me 70, 80 points at least.
I guess my thought process, like I think Manly are going to do well. They looked really good in Vegas, but they still let in 20 points and 110 points to Latrell. So that's my thought process, and I think just Teddy looks good.
Keep in mind they were Vegas games too. That will probably ref a little bit.
Yes, that is true. That is true, and I think that will work in the Roosters' favour.
What do you mean, coming back to earth?
No, just the way the game is reffed. It suits Manly the way it was reffed in Vegas.
Yeah.
I think it suits the Roosters more the way it's reffed in Australia. Just like a few more penalties. They've got a bit more in their forward pack to lie in the ruck and all that sort of stuff. They've got Jared. They've got bloody Terrell May coming off the bench. Lindsay Collins, Victor Radley. Their edge back rowers. I think it just suits them a bit more. But he's hoping to a Manly win anyway. All right. Cheers for tuning in this week. We've come back with a split screen. Obviously, we had good comments from that on the weekend because a lot of people tuned in very early. Got it up very quick. So this will be up by 6 o'clock, hopefully. So cheers for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. Good luck with your SuperCoach.